This is mostly a car channel, mostly a Porsche car channel, but on this episode we're straying off the rabbit trail. We're heading out into the deep, into the Great Atlantic Ocean. This will be about my journey on the Queen Mary 2, the greatest and possibly last of the great lineage of ocean liners. So come along and see what it's like to spend 6 days and 7 nights out in the middle of nowhere in the great and vast Atlantic Ocean. We'll be taking that great circle track across the ocean, following the same routes that the great ocean liners have taken, and we'll be going real close to the resting spot of Titanic. Just like our Porsches are sport purpose-built cars, so too the Queen Mary 2 is a ship built for a purpose, to handle any storm that the Atlantic Ocean can throw at her and keep a schedule. Many of my friends who are in the Porsche community, when I heard about that I was going on the Queen Mary, well, it was also on their bucket list. So I think there's a lot of crossover here. I'll give you a tour of the ship itself and kind of give you a day-by-day play of what all went on. Also, we'll get a good look at the engineering and some special features of the ship itself, from guest speakers, including the architect who designed the ship, to the planetarium, to afternoon tea, to the dog kennel on board, complete with fire hydrant, and to the ashtray in the bathroom. We did a round trip with a few days in Europe in between our 2 crossings. So come along, let's check it out. Okay, so we are about to head out on our journey, and fortunately I have to say goodbye to my little rabbit, as he can't come. On our way to New York, we made several stops. Our destination being the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. If you caught the last episode, we visited Automobile Atlanta. We got the car stuff in yesterday, and now we are making our way up the Blue Ridge Mountains. So we're now in, where are we? Lexington, Virginia. And got some cool stuff to look at over here. Some Civil War stuff. And we're visiting the home of one of the Confederate generals, Stonewall Jackson. Another Thomas Stonewall Jackson was his name. It's a very pretty town here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the Jackson house.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, interested in a tour of the house today?
I think so.
Okay, super.
We got to see a full tour of the house of Stonewall Jackson, the Confederate general.
The experts are right here. Jackson was an avid gardener, and he kept really good records about what he planted, where he planted it, what he harvested. So the master gardeners try to plant what he planted. So feel free to wander around in here. There's also the carriage house in the back there. The carriage that is...
Oh.
So this was the main entrance to the house.
Oh, it
This
was.
is where the Jacksons would go, where
Oh, okay.
guests would be greeted. One of my favorite stories about Lexington is that in 1851, they really felt that the streets of Lexington were too steep, so they decided to lower the streets. So they lowered Washington Street about 6 feet and Main Street 8 to 10 feet. So if you had visited this house in 1850, this would have been right on street level. So after they lowered the streets, they had to build these porches and steps for people to get into the house.
I see. Well, it makes more sense now.
Yeah.
And then we chatted a bit with the Jackson House volunteer gardeners and helped them out a little bit with something they were working on.
Sorry. You want a time frame?
Yeah.
That's great. Is it heavy? Do you mind going over there and doing that? Thank you. We're ecumenical around here.
Yeah?
Do you need any
greens. Take with you.
What do y'all do with a lot of this?
We do like 3,000 pounds of vegetables, fresh vegetables for the food pantry every year.
Really? That's good.
They asked us if we had any questions, and my son Luke asked the question that was most on everyone's mind.
No, wait a minute. Well, I'm sure we've had them. Patty, ask questions. Any other questions?
Did,
I don't know if anything recently, but we've had it. Some came in and ate all the tomatoes. Are you headed over to VMI after this?
no, we gotta make our way. We're gonna try to get up to Gettysburg,
Oh, good.
and then we're gonna catch a ride on the Queen Mary, and we're gonna go over to England. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Fabulous.
Well,
Yeah.
we're flattered you came to see us on this enormous trip you're taking.
well,
That should be great.
we never take trips, but this is a big one. Yeah. So
Congratulations.
well, thank you.
Bye, guys.
God bless. Bye bye.
And then, of course, we had to get back on the road. Don't want to be late for our ship. I guess if you're late for a train or a plane, you can always catch another one, but there's no ports of call in the Atlantic. Now, I did do a lot of research on the Queen Mary 2 before deciding to go on this journey, and created an account on Cruise Critic. There's an area where you can introduce yourself to the guests that you will be traveling with. I'd say it's a very open and friendly community of people who decide to go on these sort of transatlantic trips. Even when I gave my opinion about certain animals not being allowed on the ship, nobody passed judgment upon me. Next stop on our way to New York, we stopped at Gettysburg and did the full self-guided tour.
It's crazy.
Well,
This is a repeating rifle. This is a musket.
yeah.
I mean, they're so unequal. It's not even funny.
Who had these?
Union?
And that was the South.
Yeah, they never got repeating rifles.
The Unions use
They
matchlocks?
started in the beginning, yeah. Those were designed to break your bones instead of like, you know, it would kill you, but it would break your bones. And that's why, yeah, and that's why they would have the amputated.
Of course, Gettysburg being the pivotal battle of the Civil War, a lot of people died here, and my wife, being historian, also seems to think that the place echoes of those deaths even still today. Do you think so? Let me know in the comments.
The high ground beyond the town in front of you. Where's Cemetery Hill? Not there.
Line up here, they had Colonel Anderson do a bombardment over 100 cannons for over an hour. It was the largest artillery thing ever in North America, in the Americas. It still is. And after they softened it up, then they sent the infantry in. That back there is over a mile away. You don't think about it, but if you're walking in full pack, and you're walking and kind of running and trying to get through these fences that were all along here, and they had to.
He was 56 years old at the time of the battle. A competent soldier, Abraham Lincoln, once offered him command of the Union Army. He turned it down, refusing to fight his family in Virginia. Took command of the Confederate Army. When he made that choice, the government confiscated his property and buried soldiers in his front yard to disgrace him. Today, it's a place of honor, the Arlington National Cemetery, once the home of General Lee. At the base of the memorial is a beautiful bronze sculpture of the soldiers of the Confederacy, young and old, rich and poor. They fought in what they called the war between the states, or the war of northern aggression. But those Confederate soldiers will follow their leader across this battlefield. But I think it's an interesting leadership metaphor that from Robert E. Lee's perspective, it seems to be an easy thing to move 12,000 men across the field. But from the standpoint of the soldiers that actually have to make this charge, they will find out it's anything but.
Now, while we were in Gettysburg, I texted a friend of mine, Jim, who had moved up here just a few months ago. He lived in Texas, and I got to know him because he had a 914, and I did some work on his car for him, helped him out with some stuff, and I just happened to text him and say, hey, I'm up here in Gettysburg, and he said, well, you're an hour away from me. I thought I'd said goodbye to him for the last time, and then a few weeks later, boom, we're in his home.
Oh, there you go.
They fit in, but they're
You got them all in here, huh?
yeah, except for the one that's out for restoration.
The MG? The
midget.
The midget, yeah.
Midget.
This is your 914 right here?
Yeah.
Here's his car. His is a two-tone 76 year model car, and it's in a couple of my videos if you take a look.
And this one is the MGA? Okay.
I was going to go to car shows this weekend, but now it looks like it's going to rain.
Is it?
I saw San Antonio was getting dumped on.
Oh yeah, yesterday I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had the 914 out much, well, hardly at all. When I started it up, it kind of took it for a ride. It sort of cut out on me a bit.
Is this an old building too?
1856.
Really?
Built the same time as the house.
Wow.
Closest I'll ever be to a parade.
Yeah.
Jim told me the QM2 is on his bucket list too. Enough with screwing around. We got a ship to catch. Next stop, New York.
Is that New York?
Yep.
One of the things that troubled me when planning this trip was how do I actually get into New York? And that's because I'm just not a big fan of big cities. However, it turned out to be not as bad as I thought. Basically, what you do is from Staten Island, you cross over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and then you just follow along the highway 278 till you get off over here where the actual Brooklyn cruise terminal is. And if you're going to park there, there's a parking lot right there next to it for you. Now, you do have to pay to park, but it is very convenient to have your vehicle right there, right next to where your ship disembarks and embarks from. Here we are approaching the Verrazano Narrows Bridge.
Shit, those people, huh?
In 600 feet, slide left onto Hudson Road.
They put this fence out here because people like to do unimaginable things.
And there's our first glimpse of the Atlantic.
That is so cool. So we're gonna be going out like that, right?
We're gonna pass under.
Now remember this bridge, I'm going to show you, we're going to pass under it on the ship.
Where they're going. A little train.
And there we get our first glimpse of the Queen Mary 2, which is very large and you can see her from the distance. While commenting on the scenery. Arriving at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. Here we're leaving our ugly Ford Edge in the parking lot. There it will remain during our transatlantic voyage, and when we return, it will be there for us to just drive off. It did cost about $600 to park here, but I figured the convenience of not having to get another rent-a-car and not having to go into Brooklyn to drop off this rent-a-car, it just made it worth it. Just trying to give you the full experience here. I wanted to go on this ship since I learned of her. Just looking at this massive ship, I'm thinking, man, in a few days I'm gonna be out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in this big ship here. Very exciting. Just admire the colors of the ship. The dark blue hull, the white, and the red funnel. It's just all very classic. And with the Queen Mary 2, there's no limit really on how much luggage you can bring. So coming to or from Europe, you can bring whatever you want, and of course I'm bringing Porsche parts per request of some friends in Germany. Sloped armor on the front and a very pronounced bow for whatever massive waves the Atlantic can throw at her. And which one are we going to be in? Well, I'm going to be in one of those white sheltered balconies right there in the hull. And as a pro tip, the more center and the lower you are in the ship, the more stable your nights will be. These are those check-in lines. They actually went pretty quick. So I didn't want to be bored on this voyage, so we brought some plastic models to build, and Luke holding one there, and that sure seemed to pique the curiosity of a lot of people who made comments about it. Check-in was very easy and went very quick.
Okay, to board. Place your boarding passes. Keep them out and then...
Boarding. Us?
You're not from New York.
No, we're not. Are you from New York?
Yes, I can tell. I'm just watching the police. Where are you from?
San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, they
just recording the experience.
Oh, very nice. Boarding.
You been on this before?
And no, I have not. I've never been on the Queen Mary 2.
Yeah.
As a very young child, I was on the Queen Mary 1.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I was there with my uncle visiting people that were sailing from New York. I think it was 1947, and I had lunch.
Really? Wow.
In the dining room. And that was a very nice experience for somebody, for a kid who was coming from Brooklyn.
Not bad.
These people have no idea where they're going. It's right over there boarding.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know.
Just
They are not New Yorkers.
follow the leader, or there's no leader.
I'm not following them, I'll be in the water.
Yeah. So you lived in New York all your life?
Yes. I was raised in Brooklyn, but I lived in Manhattan about almost 60 years.
Yeah.
You can take the elevator. Take the elevator.
I lived in Manhattan.
It's a big city. I was
Yes.
really shocked when we came in to see it.
You what? You've never been here before?
Never been here before.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Enjoy, have a great time.
Thank you.
Get on here. No, I understand that. But
Yeah, we loved that guy. He was just great. Throughout the trip, we would have lectures, and he would just kind of walk in and start talking, and totally out of place, but we just loved him for it.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
The boarding pass, please. Boarding pass. Just the boarding pass.
Boarding pass.
Go and welcome on board.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you.
Any assistance with which way we need to be going, or?
Oh, I think we'll just figure out. We got a ship map anywhere that we
So
can.
once you arrive to your staterooms, there will be a map attached inside there. So
Okay.
we'll have a little bit of a breakdown. I'll just point you in the right direction. It's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Oh no, I'm just here to.
Huh?
Deck will be on. This is deck 3 still.
We need to go up. Deck 6. We're on deck 3.
Okay. So we go up this way.
It's probably elevators. Might as well stairs.
Okay.
6183. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I made it a point to get cabins in the center of the ship, which receive the least amount of rocking from the waves.
Oh boy.
For this cabin, making the reservation about 2 months prior to the trip, I paid about $3,300 for 2 passengers, including all meals and Cunard Care travel protection.
Warm clothing, a head covering, and any essential medication. Then go to your assembly station. Go straight to your assembly station. You've got us up balcony.
Wow. I thought it was just where you could look outside.
And ask any of the ship's crew.
Maybe just don't use it right now.
There we go.
Oh my god.
That's your living room. Don't drop your phone. Keep it away.
Well, I never thought I'd be in New York, but here we are.
Rule Britannia. Rule in hell.
New York is a very busy harbor with police boats, helicopters, constantly.
This is all I ever need to do. Just do this straight. So much fun. I love you.
Embarkation from New York on the Queen Mary 2 is certainly one of the most amazing experiences in travel. Knowing that you are aboard the greatest and possibly last ocean liner about to cross the great Atlantic Ocean. Is there a more stylish way to leave New York? Everybody was real friendly. This is Barry and his wife, Karen. They're from London. They were born during the war.
Oh no.
Another fellow there was from Round Rock, Texas.
This is your son? Is my son Lou? That's Barry. Harold?
How old is he?
Well, he's going to turn 25 on the 22nd. So.
Oh, well, I'm 60 years older than him.
Oh yeah?
When I was a boy, I used to watch the Queen go out of Southampton.
Yeah.
I said one day, going on one of them. And I did. We went twice on the old QE2.
On the QE2?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I know it's called Embarkation, but I called it Blast Off. Like we're leaving Space Dock.
Thomas, this is my wife, Laura.
Nice to meet you.
I had a conversation with your wife and kids.
Oh, good. Well, let's meet up during the cruise.
Yes, that would be
Not
nice.
the cruise, crossing. The crossing.
Yeah.
Bye, nice to meet you.
Queen Mary 2 aficionados will be quick to correct you that it's not a cruise, it's a crossing. And they're right. This ship carries on the lineage of the great ocean liners, which the original intent and design was for crossings to and from the New World. And the QM2 does this on a regular schedule. And now we pass the Statue of Liberty and we say our goodbyes. Out into the deep blue ocean.
You don't get a view like that ever, do you? Right now?
It's 2,600.
I'd rather be on this. Really? I'd rather see this is the better
We
view.
always do.
Yeah.
Now remember that big bridge we drove over to get to the port? That's the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. The Queen Mary 2 just barely clears it, but by just a few feet. Get ready, here we go.
hit it. Let's see that again. I think if I do this again, I want to be on the high deck when we cross under this. Bye-bye, America. In our return trip, we were fortunate enough to have the professor who designed this ship, Dr. Stephen Payne, and he gave a lecture. He actually mentioned how they had to rework the design of those funnels in order to get the ship to clear this bridge. So the ship is designed specifically for this bridge.
What do you think, Steven? Pretty cool. It's pretty cool, isn't it? You think it was gonna hit? It looked like it.
And that's how we left New York in style. But wait, there's more.
I don't know.
And if the day wasn't eventful enough, we got to witness the pilot boat come and get the harbor pilot. As we were watching it, we didn't know what this was about. We thought maybe this was a police boat or something, but the ship is required to have a harbor pilot. The harbor pilot is someone who is specifically trained and knows the harbor very well, and so he assists in piloting the ship, in this case the Queen Mary 2, out of the harbor. And once he's done his work, then he is picked up and taken back to shore. And that was our day. On the Queen Mary 2. And there's our waiter, who we tipped well. We got to know him and about his family. They're actually away from their families for months at a time. He's taking care of people like us who had a thought that they would like to cross the Atlantic in the most amazing way possible. The crazy way to cross. Days like these, you don't forget. So what's it like to spend 7 days on the Atlantic Ocean? Well, stick around. I'm going to show you. Waking up after my first night of sleep on the Atlantic and coming out, it's kind of like stepping out into a new world. An infinite world. What it must have been like for those who pioneered this form of travel. Christopher Columbus, Magellan, and we hail from northern Germany, so our Viking ancestors must be remembered too. It was a bucket list trip forever, but still, once you're there, how did I get here? What am I doing here? And this is really cool, were some of the thoughts that went through my mind.
Good morning. It is about 7 in the morning. This is the view from our room here. And we have rather calm seas. And it's cold and windy. Not too cold, but windy. It's windy out here. careful, I don't want to drop my phone. So I was able to see some dolphins and a ship. There was another ship out here. Last night we had a nice dinner and we watched a movie in the movie theater. And here's our room. Messy, but I have a little desk area here and TV, bathroom, and we can close this if we want.
Now the QM2 was built in 2003, so it's got these cool ashtrays in the restroom. Gives the ship character. From the TV in your room, you can not only watch movies, but you can also catch up on any of the guest speakers that you may have missed. Now, every day on the Queen Mary 2, there are lectures in the 2 theaters they have. Our return trip was the 185th anniversary of Cunard. So the guest speakers we had were all maritime history and archaeology. Well, it couldn't have been better for me because I just enjoyed that a lot. We got to hear from Dr. Stephen Payne, who's the designer of the Queen Mary 2, Chris Frame, who is a YouTuber, historian, and Mensum Bound, who is the underwater archaeologist, explorer, who discovered the Endurance shipwreck.
So after we found the Endurance, I decided we'd try and rebuild her.
One thing great about the Queen Mary is that it does have several little laundromats. You do have to get there kind of early because they get taken up quick, but we were always able to get our stuff done.
Boxing, all right. Impromptu boxing. Wouldn't mind seeing some impromptu boxing. Okay, back to the laundromat.
There I did my part. Breakfast in the Queen Mary 2 can be at a number of the restaurants, but I always just chose to utilize the buffet. And those are my favorite Danishes there on the left. So nice on the ship when nobody's awake yet. First thing we really wanted to do was take a stroll on the Promenade Deck. And this became a regular daily feature for us. Windy, but not too cold. And just look at the blues in the water. It's just beautiful. Looking out at the sea and the weather, you might think that it's like November or something, but again, this is June.
Brown Haze, New York. Is that what that is?
There was a faint brown haze in the distance, and I speculated that was pollution from New York. However, it was our own pollution from the Queen Mary 2, from the smokestacks. Now on the port side of the ship, I thought I could see land, just barely. And later, by the captain's announcements, I think I was proven right. The captain's announcements were at noon every day, and to hear them, you just had to stick your head out your cabin into the corridor.
And I woke this morning in the expanse of the North Atlantic Ocean, Our current track is taking us towards the southern part of the Grand Banks of Newfoundland and staying south of the latest seasonal ice limits. So our present position is latitude 41 degrees and 8 minutes north and longitude 66 degrees and 14 minutes west. And geographically that places Queen Mary 2 just south of the Gulf of Maine on our port or left-hand side, and around 140 nautical miles or 260 kilometers from Cape Sable, which is the southwesternmost point of Nova Scotia in Canada, on our port or left-hand side. And since departing New York, we have now sailed 375 nautical miles at an average speed of 22 knots, and we still have 2,790 nautical miles to go to Southampton. For information, the depth of the Atlantic Ocean at present is starting to deepen now, and the last couple of hours currently around 1,500 meters or almost 5,000 feet. But only 1.5 hours ago, the depth was quite shallow, around 80 meters or 260 feet, as we were passing over the bank known as George's Bank. And now for the weather, it's been a mixed picture this morning, quite overcast earlier with some passing rain showers as well, but the sky has somewhat cleared up now with blue sky visible as well. We do, however, have strong headwinds currently from the east-northeast at 28 knots, which is both the force 5 to 6, and a slight sea state. The forecast for the next 24 hours is for the wind and sea conditions to remain more or less as they are now, but there is a chance of rain showers later on today and in the early evening, which is due to a cold weather front following us just to the south of us. At times, we may encounter later this evening restricted visibility in the rain, and if the visibility does fall below 2 nautical miles, we will have to sound the ship's foghorn every 2 minutes, which is an international maritime requirement, and I thank you in advance for your kind understanding. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the navigational brief for today, and for my usual noontime nautical anecdote. Today is the origin of the expression to put a sock in it, which basically means to shut up or keep quiet. Now, without going into technicalities, early gramophones consisted of a revolving disc containing music, a needle to transfer that information, and a large horn to amplify any sound. These instruments were very popular on board sailing ships, as they did not require electricity to make them work. Now, cabins on board sailing ships were, if they were lucky, divided by flimsy bulkheads, if unlucky, by a mere canvas sheet. Sound therefore travelled easily from one section to another. Now, should someone feel like playing music at a particularly antisocial hour, it was not unheard of for a sleepy neighbour to rudely exclaim, "Put a sock in it," meaning, of course, to stuff a sock into the horn and so reduce the sound level. Sadly, due to the damp and miserable conditions found on board sailing ships, not many sailors actually owned a pair of socks, and that's how we got to put a sock in it. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, may I wish you a wonderful afternoon as you board Queen Mary 2, and I look forward to seeing you around the ship. And just a reminder that the ship's clocks have just been advanced by 1 hour, and the time is now 5 minutes past 1. Thank you for your attention, and a very good afternoon to you all. Captain.
Now, one great feature about taking the Queen Mary to or from Europe is that when you arrive, there will be no jet lag. And that's like the captain said, the clocks are adjusted every day by 1 hour. And this is the library. The Queen Mary 2 has the largest at-sea library in existence. If you're getting the feeling that this is not like a Disney cruise, you'd be correct, and that's a good thing. I most heartily detest the entitlement culture which has unfortunately invaded cruise ships. But the Queen Mary 2 is not a cruise ship. It is an ocean liner. What's the difference? Keep watching, we'll get into that. The QM2 is pretty much devoid of pop culture, except the artist managed to work Homer Simpson into one of the murals. You have to look for it.
No, I think they just landed TV.
Not every night is formal attire, but on gala nights, formal attire is required, and the gala nights are usually have a theme. Sometimes it's a masquerade ball, sometimes it's Roaring 20s. There is also an art gallery, which you can purchase some of these pieces, or you can just look at them like we did. And we ended our first night with a musical performance in the Royal Court Theatre. And starting our second full day on the Queen Mary 2.
Okay, it's Sunday, day 2. And we have calm seas again. But it's still very windy.
For breakfast this morning, I served myself from the buffet a full English breakfast. Well, without the black pudding. Now, there was continuous maintenance going on the ship, and I consider that a good thing. I can imagine being exposed to the elements. The ship constantly requires painting and refinishing. So since you're on the ship for about a week, well, what do you do about religious services? There is often a Catholic Mass, sometimes daily, said by a traveling priest on the ship. Our voyage did not have that, but they do have something that they call an interdenominational service, and we got to sing a lot of beautiful hymns. In the United States, church hymns are often in very poor taste, 70s and 80s kind of stuff, but here we got the good ones. Now, the service was led by the captain, and he gave a homily about a Catholic priest on the Titanic and a Protestant minister on the Titanic who spent their last minutes evangelizing and helping the people who would soon perish. One thing that also weighed heavily over this voyage was we left on the 13th of June, which happened to be a day when some rather extreme hostilities took place in the world. You could tell it weighed heavily on the captain, who had additional prayers for peace.
The forecast for the next 48 hours is for the winds to freshen and veer around to the northeast there, which will be on the head, as a low pressure weather system, which has been following us from New York from the south, finally catches up tomorrow morning. This will mean a slight increase in sea swell to around 4 or 5 meters, which may also cause a slight increase in ship's motion. But I hope the air will still be relatively comfortable. Please do, however, take care when going out on the outer decks in the windy conditions and use the handrails provided when moving around the ship. Also, as many of you have been asking, at approximately 10:30 p.m. this evening, we will pass around 120 nautical miles north of the last resting place of Titanic on our starboard or right-hand side. So that's passing Titanic's last resting place at 10:30 p.m. this evening. On that fateful night back in 1912, it was the Cunard liner, the Carpathia, under the command of Captain Arthur Rostron, later Commodore, that responded to the distress call from the Titanic and managed to rescue 705 passengers and crew.
So with all this talk of Titanic, you might be wondering, well, are we alone out here on the Atlantic, being on the last ocean liner? There aren't other passenger ships along this route, not like in the old days, so you typically will not see other ships unless you know where to look. I used this marine traffic app, and it made it a little game for myself. I would look to see if there were any ships in our vicinity, and then go out on deck and see if I could spot them.
Ahoy there!
Shh. Want to see what the top of the Queen Mary 2 looks like? We're going up to deck 12 and 13.
Sorry.
There can be some exhaust fumes up here, but it's really not that bad. And you will not believe how strong these winds are up here.
Now the QM2 is a fast ship. She can get up to about 30 knots, which is about 35 miles per hour. But that's not where the wind came from. We were experiencing a strong headwind most of the trip. Going up to deck 13 was just too windy on this day.
It's too windy for me. It's too windy for me. It's pushing me around. Maybe if we get a day with calmer winds, we'll go back there.
Up here is also where the indoor pool area is located.
It is very warm in here.
Sure is. I wouldn't mind playing a game of ping pong.
Well, let's get up early tomorrow and do that when nobody's here.
Yeah.
The enclosed pool was certainly a popular hangout for many. And now I'm going to take you to one of my favorite places on the ship, although you do have to be a little bit brave. It's kind of scary. Now you don't see anybody out here because it's kind of windy and cold, but the ship was completely booked. And you don't want to fall off because the chances of being recovered after falling off an ocean liner is very low.
This part, warm.
Oh yeah, that's.
It gets warm over here.
There are several shops aboard the Queen Mary, including clothing, jewelry, perfume, but nothing that really matters, like... But my wife sure found some stuff, and we also picked up some things for my cousin and his family that we were going to be visiting in Germany. And of course they have the best candy ever, gummy bears. There are a number of restaurants on the QM2, and most of them are included in your fare. Most formal dining is in the Britannia restaurant, which is very grand and beautiful. If you want something a little less formal, there is the buffet, and that has plenty of variety. Look, I even got some German goulash from the buffet. And we are in the Britannia restaurant, and we happen to get an excellent seat.
You tell your dad Happy Father's Day today?
Happy Rabbits Day.
Yeah, but first we gotta do the,
So after a couple days out to sea, the internet stopped working, so I had to purchase the internet package, which allowed me to check on my Super Rabbit from time to time. As the weather was changing and the seas were starting to roughen a bit, some of us were feeling it.
He did say there.
The Queen Mary is so stable, even as the seas roughened, it really did not make much of a difference. Some of us felt it more than others. Me, I just kind of tuned out slight rocking of the ship.
Swells will be more.
How's your food, madam, sir?
Very good.
Usually there is entertainment after dinner, be it a show or a gala ball, but on this night we just decided to go pay a visit to the Queen and turn in a little early.
So we're out here day 3 on the sea, and we have some ocean swells, and so the ship is moves a little bit more than yesterday, but it's still okay to walk around and everything. Still very windy, but we have the sun today, and it looks like a beautiful day. Description of the sea. I guess that the captain reported, and it says rough. So these are what are considered rough seas, 2.5 meter wave heights. So you can see the swells, see? The big swells.
Well, I thought it was interesting. And we still found it all to be unbelievable.
There's Chili. He's gonna fly out. I gotta go get my camera.
You all had a comfortable night's rest as we awoke this morning with the winds and sea conditions having increased as forecast, as we caught up with a cold weather front system just ahead of us. And if you're watching the TV map on channel 45, you will see that we are currently altering course to the northeast onto a heading of 064 degrees to commence our great circle track across the Atlantic. And the reason for altering course at this juncture is because we are skirting south of and clearing the nearest seasonal ice limits, which is around 20 miles to the north of us. Great circle basically means that we will now follow the curvature of the Earth by alternate course every 5 or 6 hours or so, and this is the shortest distance and most direct route now to the western approaches to the English Channel. And since departing New York, we have covered just under 1,400 nautical miles at an average speed of 20 knots, and we still have 1,770 nautical miles to go to Southampton. Our present position is latitude 44 degrees and 1 minute north, and longitude 43 degrees and 32 minutes west. And geographically that puts Queen Mary to around 950 nautical miles, or over 1,700 kilometers, south of Cape Farewell, the southernmost point of Greenland, on our port or left-hand side. And for your information, the depth of the Atlantic Ocean is quite deep now, around 3,000 meters or just under 10,000 feet, as we pass over a very flat seabed area known as the Newfoundland Basin. The forecast for the next 24 hours or so is for the wind and sea state to remain more or less as they are now, as we gradually catch up and then overtake the cold weather front ahead of us, but still a relatively comfortable passage ahead. Please do, however, take care when going out on the open decks in these windy conditions.
Here we have the Illuminations Theater, where there's commonly held movies, lectures, and we're waiting for ours to begin. But come on, let me show you something else cool. Up near the front of the ship, near the Illuminations Theater, is sort of a walk of fame where there are, along the walls, lots of large photos of celebrities who have been on the Cunard ships.
Oh. He beat the Desert Fox in El Alamein.
Yeah, right.
He did.
Yeah.
See? Completely beat him. There's the Queen Elizabeth.
I know these people
The Duke and Duchess of
from
Windsor.
watching the, what is it called?
Crown.
The Crown. Who is this one?
This is the Queen Mother. She is his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
She became the queen when he wanted to marry her. You tell me, which one would you rather be married to? Which one? Nobody could understand this. Why she was so alluring to him. That's RFK's dad, maybe. The health secretary's dad, right there.
Yeah, I know. And see, yes, young people do sail on the Queen Mary too. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. I think they played together a couple of times. And of course, ocean liner history is all over this ship. Time for our lecture. Don't be late. Now, if you go on the Queen Mary 2, you have to go to afternoon tea. Afternoon tea occurs every 3:30 in the afternoon on every day. Not only with tea, but with scones and little sandwiches and pastries, and it's all just very much fun. My wife Lisa, who does not like tea, found this to be just a delightful experience.
It's okay, Mom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, the Queen Mary II was built in France, but I can definitely tell that some Germans were involved here. About midway through the voyage, you can elect to select early disembarkation. This means you carry your own luggage out early, like at 7 o'clock and even earlier, I found. And the reason we needed this is because we had the plan to drive to Dover and then go across the English Channel, so we definitely needed all the time. And when the sea gets choppy, so do the pools. And did I mention that dessert is included in every meal? And the seas were getting rougher as the night went on. And on our fourth day, we awoke to rough seas, and we are a little more than midway in our journey. And it was on this day where the cold weather front that had been chasing us, or we had been chasing it, well, we finally caught up to it and merged with it, and thus the skies darkened and the waves rose a bit more. And at times, especially in the morning, certain doors were blocked off, so you could not access them to go outside. And of course, the Promenade Deck is the secret to eating whatever you want on the ship.
So calm back here.
If you notice, the Queen Mary II has these wind screens around the stern, and of course it's always very calm back there, but if you notice, there's these slots in the wind screens, and apparently those are all different sizes, and the reasoning behind that is for resonance. The previous Queen Elizabeth II, QE2, would have a resonance problem with noise because of the vibration of the propulsion system. So those slots are designed to counteract that problem. And while the seas do look a bit more rough, they're nothing like what this ship can handle. The Queen Mary II had a nice lounge. It's called the Corinthia Lounge, suitable for reading a book or just relaxing, listening to some music.
For information, the deck of the Atlantic Ocean is quite deep now, around 3,700 meters, almost 12,000 feet. And later this evening, around 10 p.m., we will pass over the Mid-Atlantic Bridge on the ocean bed. The Mid-Atlantic Bridge is basically the constructed tectonic boundary between the Eurasian and American plates, and is in effect the longest mountain range.
Now, I didn't know if I would get bored on a 7-day crossing, so I decided to bring some model kits along. With all the activities and lectures available, I never did get bored, but we did make some time to break out the model kits in the Corinthia Lounge. And because this was our first voyage aboard aboard the Queen Mary 2, we were invited to a special night to meet the captain.
Before I continue, an extra special welcome to all those guests who deliberately avoided me into that door over there. You lot, you see, that's most important. And the nice thing about a crossing is all those sea days. Nothing to do as much as you want or as little as you want. It's on your terms, of course. So just 2.5 sea days ahead of us, the iceberg's already behind us. So we're basically you think I'm joking? Read the small print of your brochure. April, May, and June is iceberg season. But of course, we skirted south of there. So the next port, of course, we're coming Southampton. Just back and forth, I don't know which way I'm going. I'm going east on that east to Southampton. Southampton in a couple of days. I don't know if you see the weather forecast for Southampton. When we get there on Friday, it's looking like 30 degrees Celsius. Finally! In the morning, 15 in the afternoon. It's warm, isn't it? It is sunny. It's not the Caribbean coast, so there we are. But still, it's dry. It's going to be dry. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this voyage, at the moment, there are 2,525 of you, and you come from 35 different countries. It just shows the Cunard international people. I'm just going to go to the top 5 or 6 countries you represent, and if you hear your country, please give yourself a cheer. So, all the way from Germany, 38. 38. New Zealand, 51. New Zealand. Canada, 83. Canada. Now the quiet ones. Australia, 380. United Kingdom, 579. And I've got to mention Coventry, 2. Where are you? But the winners tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with 1,333 United States. And of course, we can't forget off on deck 12 in the kennels, we also have 18 dogs and 2 cats. And to take care of you, there are 1,271 of us.
On day 5, having passed the bad weather, we woke to fog and the foghorn sounding. So I wanted to go to the front of the ship to hear it in full volume. One interesting thing about the Queen Mary 2 is in the hallways you can actually see from the front of the ship to the back of the ship. They run the whole length of the ship. This morning started with the foghorns blowing, so I wanted to see what that was about. Now some will complain about the layout of the Queen Mary 2, saying that sometimes it's hard to get from one point to the other. It's really not that hard. You just gotta kind of figure it out. And this goes back to that this is an ocean liner and it's designed to bear the brunt of these waves up in the front section there. Now in about an hour, this library will be full of people and everybody will have their favorite spot. But at this early hour, I'm the only one in here, and it's really nice. It's good when you can take simple delights in hearing a foghorn. And getting up early on the QM2, you get the restaurant all to yourself. Off to another morning lecture.
Very good afternoon. afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Captain Asim Hashmi speaking on the bridge. Friday noon navigational brief on Wednesday, 18th of June, day 5 of our Eastbound Transatlantic Crossing to Southampton. Our present position is latitude 49 degrees and 4 minutes north, and longitude 20 degrees and 34 minutes west. And geographically, that puts Queen Mary to around 440 nautical miles, or just over 800 kilometers, west-southwest of Mensum Bound, the southwesternmost point of Ireland, ahead of us of our port or Westbound. And after the weather, if you've been out and about, we're quite changeable this morning. We had rain and reduced visibility, but it has cleared up in the last hour or so, and now finally some blue sky visible. And winds have reduced to around 25 knots, which is forceful at 5 to 6 on the graduate scale, and a slight sea state. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a wonderful afternoon as you walk in over to. I look forward to seeing you around the ship. And just a reminder that the ship's clocks have just been advanced by 1 hour. The time is now coming up to 5 minutes past 1. Thank you for your attention and a very good afternoon to you all. Captain.
Now the captain said the day would clear up, and boy did it ever. This must have been one of the most beautiful days that we had out on the sea. When crossing the Atlantic, it seems that you're going to have a mixture of different types of days, from fog to clear skies to rough seas, but none of these days, and of course we went in June, none of these days were miserable. They were all beautiful in their own right. But you still need a jacket. Even on the best days, the wind is kind of high, so even in summer. And just when you thought you saw all of the ship, there's always something new on the QM2. Now, the front bow of the ship was typically closed off during our voyage, likely due to high winds, but when I saw it was open on this day, well, how could we not go out and have a look? Those silver things are spare propeller blades, and they carry them with them. Of course, if they need to repair a damaged propeller blade at a faraway port, you know, those things are likely not readily available off the shelf. So it makes sense that they carry them with them. They have the nickname of the captain's cufflinks. Note the black stripes on the front bridge section. Those are meant to pay homage to the original Queen Mary 1, which had these crossovers on the bridge section. I like to see when designs do not reject the past, but preserve it and enhance it in some way. Do I have a favorite spot on the ship? My wife claimed this spot here as her favorite.
It looks like it's gonna be nice.
Like, what is nice?
Like this?
60s.
A few days ago, it was just too windy to go up on these high decks, but now we're gonna give it another go. On the top deck is also the Dog Kennel. The QM2 is a unique option for those wanting to travel with a pet. It has kennels and amenities for dogs and cats on the transatlantic routes. And if you notice, they have a little fire hydrant for the American dogs and a lamppost for the English dogs. By the way, they don't allow rabbits, or Super would be with us.
Now I think even up there you can go. Look. Look at that.
This area was originally a basketball court, but they had to remove the hoops due to complaints about noise. Now it serves as a general sports section, and it serves as a helipad, but not at the same time. And this is officially the highest portion of the ship. And just look at that view. The QM2 does these transatlantic routes in 6 days, 7 nights. It used to do them in even faster, like in 5 or 6 days, but they had to throttle that back because it just uses so much fuel. And this area is called the Lookout. But the ship is able to speed up considerably, so if it does encounter heavy weather and it, has to go slower or divert, then it can make up for it by, kicking her in the guts and picking up some speed. The QM2 is powered by 4 16-cylinder diesel engines, which are located deep in the hull, but directly under that big funnel there are 2 GE gas turbines, and those are brought online when she needs to achieve her top speed. Since it's the last night of the crossing, they do this thing where they honor the chefs and cooks.
Let's see. Check it out.
Some more fun facts about the Queen Mary II. The ship was built in Saint-Nazaire, France in 2003. A friend of mine and viewer to this channel was there in 2003 when it was in dry dock and they were giving tours, and an unfortunate accident occurred where a gangway gave way, killing some 16 people. May they rest in peace. The propulsion system. How much horsepower do you think it has? What about 157,000 horsepower on those pods? Now those pods are responsible for both propulsion and steering, and each of them weighs about 320 tons. That's equivalent to the weight of a fully loaded 747 jet at takeoff. Each pod. Well, what about nighttime on deck? We had hoped to see like 1,000,000 stars out on the sea, but it didn't turn out that way. I don't know if it was just the clouds or what was the issue, but we really did not see a whole lot of stars. But then I can't say that I went out every night looking either. Most nights I was just too tired and went to bed. The last full day of our journey again had beautiful weather. Just kept getting better and better as we approached Southampton. I was busy arranging my vehicle rental and dreading the thought of driving on the wrong side of the road in England.
See the ship?
The closer we get to the other side of the pond, the more ships on the horizon we can spot. Queen Mary 2 also has 2 really cool elevators on each side of the bridge and lets you see a nice sea view while you're going up.
All the way up. Woohoo! Here we go. I'll get a quick picture. Oh, there you go. I almost got that. Is this, oh, I've never been on this. Have you?
No.
No. Oh my gosh. Can we open this?
So with the Queen Mary 2, you're always finding new areas of the ship.
Hey, we're here aboard the QM2. We're on the, what is this called? Observation deck. There's Luke. Very windy over here. Somewhere over there is Europe. So I'm gonna take you to see the front of the ship.
And in case you're thinking you could be like Jack and Rose on Titanic, you cannot go to the front of the bow. And I'm pretty sure if you tried, the captain and the crew, which are directly above me here, would see you and put a stop to it pretty quick. Now in the Queen Mary 2, there are several restaurants to choose from, and they are all included in your fare. Well, actually there are some exclusive restaurants, but with the variety we found that was included in the fare, we didn't feel the need to go to any of those. One of the most popular is the Golden Lion Pub, where you can get fish and chips. Every time we would go by there, it was packed and there was no room. So on our last full day, we decided to do a stakeout and reserve our spot well earlier than lunch was served. Spotting more and more ships. I particularly chose a June crossing just because I read in the forums and I looked at historical weather information which suggested that the June, July, August months are typically going to be some of the better months to cross the Atlantic. However, there are those who want the roughness and they seek out the months to cross when it is really stormy. So if you're into that kind of thing, check out some other YouTube videos, and I'll link some in the description of some crossings that are pretty rough. But of course, the Queen Mary 2, I think, even with that roughness, she is designed to make the journey comfortably and safely. And we see the helicopter coming to bring the harbor pilot. And our first sighting of land was Cornwall. And so we reach England early in the morning, and the colors and the lights are just beautiful. Here I am awake before everyone else, it seems, and just enjoying the serenity. We've arrived at a new world. The old world. Oh, but wait, this isn't the end. We actually did a round trip transatlantic crossing. So what that meant is that we had several days in Europe between our two crossings. So the Queen Mary 2 usually does the back and forth transatlantic, but a lot of times it will do a little journey in between, and it is in that little window that you can go out and do whatever you want in Europe. Now, I rehearsed this route the day before on the Queen Mary 2 using Google Street View, including all the roundabouts and exits, so it paid off to rehearse this route. The Road to Hell is a reference to the Chris Rea concept album inspired by traffic in England. Now, my vehicle had lane assist, which would prompt you when you were not in the center of your lane, and I was constantly on the left side of my lane, so I had to fight myself to keep myself more right. And I stayed mostly in the left lane just because it was less stress. So being that this was my first time ever driving in England, I thought I did pretty good that I made it from Southampton to Dover without any trouble and made it on time for our ferry. So our ferry took us from Dover to Dunkirk, which of course Dunkirk is the place where the great evacuation occurred in 1940 with Stuka bombers flying overhead and all. So driving an English car on the left side of the road in England was challenging, but once we got to the other side, I thought it'd be a little better, and it was, but still, now I'm driving an English car left, sitting on the right side of the car, driving on the road system I'm familiar with. However, driving in France, came to realize that, well, the rules are just a little different. One thing I noticed was bicyclists seem to have the right of way. They can just go right in front of you, and without any, usually you wouldn't do something like that because, well, just it's for your own safety. But so all that meant that I was just kind of a little uneasy with driving an English car through Europe and eventually the Autobahn. So just decided to, although it was another expense, to go ahead and rent a car. So we looked for a Sixt rental company, and we rented a Mercedes, and that was going to be what we drove through Europe. And the only downside about that was that I'd be leaving this English car in a parking lot in France, and kind of had to hope that, you know, it would be there when we got back. So that, of course, did cost quite a bit more money, but I do not regret it in the least. It was nice to once again drive a vehicle that you're familiar with. Another option would have been to take the ferry as a foot passenger. However, only one of the 3 ferry providers allows for foot passengers. Another thing to bear in mind if you do want to rent a car in France, check the hours of the operation. In France, it seems that many businesses shut down at lunchtime for a couple of hours. Even businesses that you wouldn't think would do that, such as the rental companies right outside of ferry ports. Our plan to get to Germany was basically the Schlieffen plan, but in reverse. So we're going through from Dunkirk, through Belgium, going through Ghent, then Antwerp, and then crossing over into the Netherlands. So finally, we make it to Bremen about 3 a.m. at night, and we meet there with my cousin and his family, who were good enough to stay up and greet us and escort us to our hotel.
Hallo. Guten Abend. Hoi.
Hi, family.
Hello, hello. Max.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Yeah, nice.
Mercedes-Land.
Yeah. It's not the red carpet, it's the Mercedes, like, huh?
It was a long ride. Huh?
Oh, we almost gave up.
Okay, we'll make it. I drive with you, and one of you drive with them.
Yeah.
And so we make the way.
Autobahn is, you can't see anything, you know. Yeah.
But they drove fast, the other guys, no?
Huh?
The other guys drove fast, no?
Yeah, they're very fast. But
when the car makes this.
but I'm doing 90 to 100, 110, but they are.
Yeah, I know, because at night the speed limit is off.
Yeah.
Mostly, and so.
You do this too?
Yes.
Real fast?
No, 160, 180.
You did?
Yes, but that's not.
So
if you
at
live,
night?
he switched
Yeah.
If
that
you live here,
car
this
for
is
this
normal.
one in Dunkirk.
Yeah, this was a long day.
This is where we took Christopher and his wife.
Yeah,
and
and this
she
one.
said, "Oh, you have so small cars in Europe."
You know, in England they're even smaller.
I know.
They're smaller than here. Yeah, they're.
Okay, I think we bring you to the hotel. You can sleep. I have something to eat, some Haribo and something to drink, some Fanta for you.
Oh, okay.
And tomorrow.
And it was thoughtful of my cousin to get me an authentic Fanta without the
There's not what?
nasty food coloring that we have to put up with in the United States version.
Steven, get in the car.
It's like 4 people.
You want me to sit back? Yeah, it's okay.
No, he just.
So in Bremen, we started the day with a little stroll along the River Weser. And next we caught up with my cousin and we went to go visit the house where our mothers grew up. This was built by my grandfather after the war. By the way, here's an old video of my grandfather Felix at this house, and look what he's got there. He's raising rabbits. See that? So that's where I think my love of rabbits comes from. Although I think they were probably eating them. I don't do that. Next, we visited a castle nearby. It's not really a castle, but my mother called it a castle as she was a little girl playing here, telling herself she was going to live in that castle as she grew up.
Yeah. Child, you know?
Yeah. You know what they used to use this for in old days?
Yeah, the landlord who owned the completely area lived here, and this is why they called it Schloss, castle, you know?
Oh.
But this is not a castle in the way you think it is a castle.
It's a manor house.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah.
Where was it built? I don't know. Don't ask me.
Any idea?
Maybe we will find it inside here. Let's look. Yeah, okay, yeah, 1836. Take it home. To play here as a child is not so bad.
Get away from the house.
After the Second World War, when everything else was bombed, you know.
Yeah. All those houses were bombed?
Oh, no,
or?
not this area, because this is not important, no industrial area.
Oh.
But the north was completely... Take your time, I have to find the right position.
Okay.
Cheese. Oh, so it's her fault. If it's not alright, it's the fault of my wife, you know?
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, open it.
And rather than waiting for the official opening times, we did what all good Germans do. We let ourselves in.
We're coming in.
Yeah.
basement. Right here. Huh?
Looks great.
Yeah. Peaceful out here.
Did you see this roof?
Yeah.
You know what it's made of?
Hay thatch.
Something that grows in the water.
Oh.
They cut it, they dry it,
Oh.
and it stays maybe for 100 years or more.
Yeah.
They were wherever they were. She was a hairdresser.
Yes,
and Folly.
This was my aunt. Okay.
But there was I don't know if it was her. But she talked smack about
And then gathered around the old well, we shared some war stories and talked about old ghosts.
Okay, so Dresden was in West. Okay.
Yeah. And then when the saloon was very full, and she was like Felix, because Felix was the brother. Felix was the brother.
Felix was
of
a brother.
her.
Okay.
And she was also socialism, and she said.
That makes more sense why she got in trouble.
Yeah, and she said in the shop because the bombing Dresden was very heavy.
Right.
She said if this goes on like this comes.
Yeah,
So beautiful.
It is gorgeous, for sure.
People talk good English and they have no problem with German. This is also important.
And I happened to see an interesting automobile, and I happened to make a grand mistake.
That somebody almost 100 years later should be settled with.
Hallo?
Hallo?
Das ist ein cool Audi.
Nein.
Nein?
Nein.
Nein Audi?
Nein.
Kein Audi? Was ist das?
Look.
No Audi.
Huh?
No Audi.
Auto Union?
Yes.
Was?
Auto Union.
Ja, okay.
Du nimmst 5 Euro pro Foto, dann hast du die Abschleppkosten.
Genau.
raus.
Horch, Wanderer,
Ja?
Auto Union, Audi.
Ja.
4 Ringe. Erst Auto Union, jetzt Audi.
Ja, okay. Auto Union. Und,
You want to make some pictures inside?
the Jahr? Was ist the Jahr? The Baujahr?
Ja, ja. So laufen sie doch wahrscheinlich.
1960?
Make some pictures for us.
Ja.
Er hat einen YouTube-Kanal, wo das auch so ein bisschen präsentiert.
Ah. Das ist cool. Was ist the model?
AU1000.
A-
AU1000.
AU1000? Oh, okay.
AU1000S.
Okay. Ja.
Built in 1960.
Mhm. Okay. Good. Smells like a good car. Huh?
We have to go.
Okay.
Okay. Ja, gerne.
Vier cylinder or
3.
3 cylinder?
Ja.
Okay.
Zweitakt.
Yeah.
Zweitakt.
Zweitag, two stroke or what is that? Okay. Okay. Danke.
And we visited the grave of my grandmother, my mother's mother, who always brought me coloring books when I was little.
This is actually very
Dankeschön. Is Felix auch hier?
No. This library doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The stuff is from here. This is last time I went with my mother here. Yeah. It's from me.
Yeah, for me.
Oh, okay, there she is. I see. It's full of weeds.
Yes.
Out in the trash.
You want to take that
Throw it
over?
away. No, it's old.
Old?
You only put this in the winter on.
Mm-hmm. Next, we spent some time in the Bremen Market Square and in the old town Bremen.
I made the picture with the Christopher was your son. So
Yeah.
drives through all this.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. For the climb.
How old this building is? That's what he said. And the one next to it? Look what yeah. And the next one? He doesn't believe it.
That's true.
Before Columbus.
Is that a 7?
And we also stopped by my cousin's salon where he works, which is in the Innenstadt of Bremen in the downtown area. And we made sure Uwe got his Porsche part that we took on the Queen Mary 2 over to Germany. It's the most expensive Porsche part delivery ever in the world. And he was kind enough to give me in return a little gift, a original press release clipping from the Porsche 914. There's his car, by the way. He bought it a number of years ago from the United States and had it shipped to Germany. And then we had to say our goodbyes because our trip was short, a little too short. But we didn't say goodbye, we said auf Wiedersehen because we do want to see each other again. One nice thing about Germany, it still has in effect the rules about Sunday being a day of rest. In fact, the large trucks are not allowed to drive on the roads except certain ones that carry produce and stuff. This makes for a very relaxing drive on the Autobahn, free of stress, and you can just enjoy the scenery. So as we were driving back through the Netherlands, I could not go through the Netherlands without stopping to see some windmills. I've always had a fascination with windmills ever since a little child, and always the Dutch kind of windmills. Never been much interested in the Texas sort of windmills, but the Dutch ones have a really cool look to them. I don't know what it is, but they kind of do something for me. We were going through the southern portion of the Netherlands, which of course there's a lot more in the northern portion. A lot of the really famous ones are up there, but in the south there are several and some really old ones as well. Let's take a look. This is called the Roosdonck. It was built in 1884, and the name Roosdonck basically refers to rose being the color of the mill, and donk meaning a hill or mound in a low-lying area on which the windmill is built to raise it up higher. It might be I'm fascinated by windmills because there's obviously some old technology here, but it's also very beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
It's very cool.
See the fields here? This thing turns the fields here, the wheat, it turns the mills, and it makes flour, and if he was open there you could buy the flour.
This windmill actually can be found in some sketches by Vincent van Gogh, who lived nearby. What's interesting about this windmill is it is still an active mill. Had this not been a Sunday, we could have purchased some of the flour which the mill grinds from the homeowner who actually walked in while we were there. So my last name, Otten, that comes from Germany, northern Germany, but could also be found in the Netherlands. Is that why I have a Holland Lop? So we followed an Audi TT Mark 1 out of Eindhoven and back through Belgium and on to Dunkirk. Back in England, I brushed up again on my right-hand driving skills, so we headed out into the country and we went to the little city of Bath to see the Roman ruins there. And after Bath, we got to go to the Bovington Tank Museum. I'm going to save that for a full-length video to follow.
And I got to drive an English car in the English countryside, which was challenging and fun at the same time. And got to look up close on some cool cars we do not get in the United States. Back to your exhaustive companion for doing a round trip transatlantic.
Nice jacket.
Getting back onto the Queen Mary 2 is very easy. Basically just returned our English rent-a-car, and right outside of that rent-a-car place they had taxi drivers just ready to take us to the port. The check-in process in England went very smooth as well. Took about maybe 30 minutes.
Hey, how did she know we weren't from around here? If you recall from our eastbound voyage, we were on deck 6 and we had a nice covered balcony. On the return, I was not able to get that. The only thing I had left with a view was deck 8. Now, it's not as bad as it looks, and I'll show you a little more. We could have also gotten an interior cabin with no view, but it was important for my wife to have at least some sort of a window. Now, we purchased our tickets about 2 months prior. By the time we set sail, all the tickets were basically sold. And this being Cunard's 185th anniversary crossing with special guests, it probably sold out more so than usual. Now for Embarkation from Southampton, there was a party on deck. Now the musicians stopped playing and our departure was delayed due to this large container ship that had to get out of the way. This footage is sped up. Both of our voyages had really good musicians, and especially some Irish musicians that were really good.
Is the answer blowing in the wind? Guess so, huh?
I used this Ventusky app during the voyage, and I found it to be very reliable as far as predicting sea conditions. It was showing here was that somewhere about midway through the voyage we'd probably get into some mildly rough seas.
Today is what, Tuesday? No, Thursday? And we have rough seas and the ship has slowed down to 12 knots.
Now it may appear that the water is really close to the deck, but that's not the truth. This is sort of an optical illusion. The Promenade Deck is actually about 75 feet above the waterline, so the waves might look small, but they're actually quite large swells here. 2.6 meter waves, that's about 8.5 feet.
The forecast for the next 24 hours is for the wind conditions to remain quite strong as they are now. The sea swell may increase slightly to around 5 meters, 14 feet from midnight tonight as we go through a cold weather front. The sea conditions may cause slight motion in the ship, and may I take this opportunity to advise everyone to please take care when moving around the ship and to use the handrails provided. Some of the upper decks have been closed due to the strong wind conditions, and these conditions should last for around 24 to 30 hours or so. We are taking a more southerly route this crossing to steer some of the low pressure weather system as best we can ahead of us and stay clear of the usual seasonal outskirts of Canada.
Zero visibility. And this is Thursday evening. They're blowing the foghorn again.
So since the weather's bad outside, let me show you a little bit more around the ship. So what do you do when the weather's bad outside? Well, you got the casino, which of course I'm not a gambling kind of person, but fun to look at that kind of stuff. And there's a full salon, which is nice to know should you need a haircut. And up front of the ship there's what's called the Commodore Club, which is like a little bar and a nice place to kind of just hang out. And there's another full model ship of the QM2.
They got a nice, even bigger model there, huh?
And if you're into cigars, there's the Churchill Cigar Lounge.
And they had some really funny comedy acts.
Here's me looking tired, really Jeremy Clarkson-esque. The QM2 also has the first and largest planetarium at sea, and it was working. Some of the forums say that it's often not working, but on our voyage, the planetarium was working. And as we learned about other worlds in the planetarium, stepping back out on the deck, we certainly felt like we were in another world as we were encased in a cloud of fog.
Well, we're out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and we've got some really dense fog. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be out here with fog, not that I've ever wondered this, but it's pretty amazing.
We were standing on the bow of the ship, and I guess we should have expected the foghorn to blow, but we didn't. And then and it really scared us because it was very loud.
That's a foghorn. I did. I know when you hear it on here, it's not that loud, but out there, woo.
The The fog lasted more than a day, in and out of dense fog. It was a very memorable experience. And they appeared to have slowed the ship down considerably. We spotted something in the water.
Gotta be something. What is it?
And just when we thought the fog had lifted for a bit, we were right back in it. And I didn't mind a bit. Either it be fog or clear, it was just absolutely beautiful.
woke up a little too late and did not get to see us pass under Verrazano Narrows Bridge on the way back into New York.
And all the fog we had the day before seemed to turn into rain. With all the lights and excitement of New York in the morning coming in, kind of felt like a kid on Christmas morning waiting for everyone else to wake up. There's something really neat to see outside. Okay, family is awake, so I get to show it all over again. And the Queen Mary 2 is always lit up like a Christmas tree as she enters port. Kind of feels like Kirk and the Enterprise crew coming back to space dock after some big adventure. No, we didn't fight Khan or some Klingons, but we did cross the mighty Atlantic Ocean. The crazy way to cross, but the most enjoyable way to cross was the Queen Mary 2. This bulletin board is on the top of one of the stairways on the Queen Mary 2. And of course it's celebrating people who have crossed the Atlantic by means of rowboat or sailboat or some other crazy means. But in this day and age of air travel, where we want everything fast and the destination is what counts, we're losing the important parts. But on this crossing, I think we got some of that back.
There's the elevator we were on. It's impressive, isn't it? Imagine you were on the middle of the Atlantic in that thing. That's a purpose-built ship if you ever had one, right? It does in the front for the waves. Where? Oh yeah, way over there.
She looks so little now.
Way over there. Cute and smile. Super? Super? Super! Hey man! Hey boy! Yeah! I'm back! Super!
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, tschüss.